Yeah, hi there, and you had a quick question about the independent speaking task, the free choice one. The example here is the agree or disagree. First year students should live in the dormitory separately from students who are in their second or third year. Give reasons to explain your opinion. You say, well, answering this question, which are the correct sentences from the following? You say, A, I disagree with this statement. First year students should live in the dormitory separately from students who are in their second and their third year. Yeah, I don't like this one because it's not really using any of your own grammar. You're simply using separate sentences and putting them together. That's not good. Let's look at B. I disagree with the statement that first year students should live in the dormitory separately from students who are in their second or third year. This is correct. C, I disagree with the statement that mentions, and you really mean here, that first year students should live in the dormitory separately from students who are in their second or third year. This one's a little awkward because you're using that and that. You're using two different adjective clauses here. That's a little bit unnecessary, so I don't like this one. It's correct grammatically, but you say, what type of words do I have to use in order to connect my opinion and to paraphrase the given statement? But what you've done here, to be honest, you haven't really paraphrased it. You've directly quoted it as what you've done. You say, I disagree with the statement that mentions freshman and senior grade students should live in the dormitories separately. I think, in my opinion, if you just said this, let's make it simple. Freshmen living in dorms should not be separated from sophomore and junior students. Sophomore means second year, junior means third year, right? So if you say that they should not be separated, that implies that you disagree with this statement. And what I've done here, instead of saying exactly the way that it was said here, I'm trying to use, for example, instead of second year, I put sophomore. Instead of third year, I put junior. And then I say freshman instead of first year. So I've tried to say it a little bit differently using different vocabulary and different grammar. So what you're trying to do when you're doing the speaking task is show that you have good control of your own language use, which means you're showing you have the ability to re-explain ideas using your own vocabulary and your own grammar. So this is kind of what I would say. Now, what if you put together the whole speaking response? What would it look like? Right? So let's take a look at that. Then I'll get to your next question in just a minute. So this is just about 45 seconds. So here we go. Freshmen living in dorms should not be separated from sophomore and junior students. First of all, first year students can benefit from the experience of second and third year students. Can benefit from the experience. For instance, a first year student might not know how to get an on-campus job, so he or she can talk to a sophomore or junior who has already found a job on campus. Second of all, if the freshmen are allowed to live in the dorms with the older students, they'll have good role models to help them. For instance, the second and third year students typically are more disciplined, which may help the new students learn how much they should be studying each day in order to complete coursework and prepare for exams. Therefore, second and third year students have experience and can be positive influences on the new students, so they should all be allowed to live together in the dorms. Right? So if you said that, I mean, that answers the question. It's saying that you think they should not be separated, and that's the argument that you've made here. Okay, so your next question, let's see what you have. You say, well, I'm illustrating an example that happened in the past. I would change this to when. When I'm illustrating an example that happened in the past, can I use used to in the sentence? If I use used to in TOEFL writing or speaking task, is it an informal way to illustrate an example? I'm going to say not really informal. It's a standard way to illustrate an example. There's another one you didn't even consider. I'll talk about it in a minute. So you have, when I was in my high school, all of my friends used to talk about how to play video games. When I was in my high school, all my friends talked about was how to play video games. When I was in my high school, my father used to call me every week and gave me instructions on how to study. When I was in my high school, my father called me every week and gave me instructions. You can do all of them. In fact, what if you did this? Hey, you forgot the one would. I think used to, would, and the simple past can all be used to talk about repeated actions. That's the key, right? Okay, so let's take a look at one more example here. I'm going to change this and say this. All my friends would talk about how to play video games. You could say that. You could also say this. My father would call me every week and gave me instructions on how to study, and then my father called me. So what do we know here? I think here, used to, would, and the simple past can all be used to talk about repeated past tense actions. That's probably what you want to get from what we've talked about. So used to, would, and the simple past, you can use all three of these to talk about repeated past tense actions. However, if the action happened one time only in the past, only once, the simple past is going to be better.
Is it referring to mice?
So we'll say one time. For example, here.
No.
I knew you'd hook up with Terry.
Oh, that's the Terry Armstrong?
So in this case, I graduated from high school in 2016. This happened only one time. It would be very odd to say I used to graduate from high school in 2016. I don't think that's ever going to happen. Or I would graduate from high school in 2016. Does that make sense? So you just got to remember this. So used to, would, and the simple past can all be used to talk about repeated past tense actions. However, if you're talking about a one-time action in the past, then only use the simple past verb tense. That's going to be the best one.